Hello and a very good morning. You're watching the breakfast news on Rajya Sabha television with me, Frank Pereira. Here are the headlines. Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi slated to appear before a court in Delhi in connection with the National Herald case. Congress calls meeting of all MPs in Delhi to show of solidarity. Rajya Sabha Chairman Mohammad Hamid Ansari convenes all-party meet. No consensus on GST, but parties agreed to pass 6 pending bills. Consensus eludes. Members at WTO meet on major agriculture-related issues. India's strong protest against any move to end export subsidies without safeguarding interests of developing countries. Juvenile convict in Delhi gang rape case all set to walk free by Sunday. Delhi High Court says no legal provision currently to hold him in jail. And the United Nations Security Council adopts resolution outlining peace process for Syria, but disagreement on Bashar al-Assad's future remains. Well, the Congress has called a meeting of all its MPs today as party president and vice president are slated to appear before a Delhi court in connection with the National Herald case. The meeting at the AICC headquarters in Delhi will take place at around 1 p.m. Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi will appear before the Patiala House Court at 3 p.m. today. Their appearance has been necessitated after the Delhi High Court refused to stay summons by a lower court against them. Besides the Gandhis, 5 other accused will also appear before the court. The allegation against them is that they acquired property worth 5,000 crore rupees belonging to the National Herald newspaper. The case is based on a petition filed in 2012 by BJP leader Subramanian Swamy, which accuses them of cheating and criminal breach of trust.
We respect the court procedure. We are therefore going tomorrow. All the persons concerned are going to be there. Tomorrow I had personally given a commitment to the courts that we want to come at the earliest, and we are fully confident of the legal process.
केंद्र सरकार सीबीआई का रेवेन्यू डिपार्टमेंट का और ईडी का खूब इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं। इसका सबूत तो अब आप 2-4 जगह देखे हैं।
राहुल जी, सोनिया जी को शायद ये याद दिलाना पड़ेगा कि इस देश में बहुत बड़े बड़े लोग कानूनी कार्रवाई झेले हैं और वो सत्य है, तो उनको कोई डर नहीं रहा है। वो सोने की तरह दमक के बाहर आए हैं।
Well, the all-party meet convened by Rajya Sabha Chairman Mohammad Hamid Ansari to try and end the stalemate in the upper house failed to do so. There was no consensus on the GST bill, even as the leaders agreed on passing 6 other bills that are pending in the House. Here's more.
After days of disruptions and adjournments, Rajya Sabha chairman convened an all-party meet on Friday to try and end the logjam. The meeting, attended by leaders of several parties, including Leader of the House Arun Jaitley and Leader of Opposition Ghulam Nabi Azad, ended on a positive note, with everyone deciding to allow the House to function smoothly starting Monday. They also agreed to pass 6 other pending bills. These include the SC/ST Prevention of Atrocities Amendment Bill, Appropriation Bills, Anti-Hijacking Bill, the Atomic Energy Amendment Bill, the Commercial Courts Ordinance and the Arbitration and Conciliation Amendment Bill.
सभी में निर्णय किया है कि कामकाज होना चाहिए। जो सरकारी बिल हैं, जो देश के विकास से जुड़े हुए बिल हैं, जो देश के आम लोगों, गरीबों, कमजोर तबकों की तरक्की से जुड़े हुए बिल हैं, वो पास होने चाहिए। देर रात तक बैठ करके हम पास करेंगे। जो कुछ भी नुकसान हुआ है उसकी भरपाई करेंगे।
On the question of the contentious GST bill, however, there is no consensus. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley is believed to have appealed to the opposition to pass the constitution bill this session, but to no avail.
कुछ बिल्स जो हैं जिन लोगों का हमने वादा किया था, जैसे SC/ST बिल है, उसका हम लोगों ने वादा किया था कि हम पूरी तरह से इसको पास करेंगे। इसी तरह से अप्रोप्रिएशंस बिल है, उनको तो अनिवार्य है पास करना। तो मेरे ख्याल में वो तमाम बिल जिस पे हमने पहले उस पे कोई बात नहीं।
जिन विधेयकों पर सहमति बनी है उनको पास कराया जाए। GST महत्वपूर्ण बिल है, जनता दल यू इसके समर्थन में है, लेकिन कांग्रेस पार्टी के मित्रों की कई आपत्तियां हैं जिनको शासक दल को एड्रेस करना चाहिए।
There is agreement that House should function. Monday House should function and some bills will have to be taken up. There are certain bills on which there is consensus and they must be cleared.
The leaders also agreed to discuss 3 other bills: the Child Labour Amendment Bill, the Whistleblowers Protection Amendment Bill and the Juvenile Justice Bill. Leaders also agreed to discuss matters of public importance like price rise, impact of flood and drought on agriculture, intolerance and a discussion on the developments in Arunachal Pradesh. Vishal Dahiya's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Moving on, now Arunachal Pradesh Governor J.P. Rajkhowa has decided to appeal against the Guwahati High Court order. That stayed his notification to advance the assembly session. A Raj Bhavan communique said an appeal will be filed after obtaining relevant documents including the writ petition. It, however, didn't say if the challenging petition will be filed before a division bench of the High Court or the Supreme Court. The Raj Bhavan reaction comes a day after Justice Rishikesh Roy of the Guwahati High Court stayed the governor's notification, advancing the assembly session from January 14 to December 16th. The judge posted case for hearing on February 1st next year.
It is the first time in the history of Arunachal Pradesh the situation has been created by a highest office of the state, whom we expect many things, and we wish to safeguard the state and constitutions. BJP have only 11 members. They are not supposed to play any political game. Therefore, only thing is that they are trying to destabilize the government by a national political party and try to instigate our...
India has lodged a strong protest against any move to eliminate from farm export subsidies without safeguarding the interest of developing nations. Backed by several developing countries, India is pitching for a permanent solution to these issues to protect farmers from a sudden surge in imports or dip in global prices. India considers public food stockholding crucial to its food security program and has been irked by the haste in passing these measures. With ministers unable to cross the first hurdle, reaffirmation of the issues on Doha round, such as reducing farm subsidies and import duties, easier rules for services trade and lowering of tariffs on industrial goods was not discussed till late. Hectic parleys continue to find a workable solution. However, the host Kenya put up a brave front, saying there is no crisis, and expressed optimism at the outcome of the conference.
Members are engaged in intensive negotiations to reach consensus on a number of issues, including a date for elimination of export subsidies in agriculture.
Well, the United States has lifted a 40-year ban on oil exports. This marks a historic shift from the booming U.S. oil industry. There was opposition to the move by many Democrats, but some joined Republican lawmakers and major oil companies who lobbied hard for lifting the ban. The argument in favor of lifting the ban was that it would create U.S. jobs and boost the security of Washington's European allies. The move, however, has created concerns among environmentalists who say this will encourage continued reliance on oil over clean energy. U.S. has pledged at the Paris Climate Summit to cut its carbon footprint. The ban on the U.S. oil export was first imposed in 1975 as the United States was reeling from the 1973 to 1974 Arab oil embargo, which dealt a heavy shock to the U.S. economy and sent global prices shooting up.
This is a big deal, and I think Speaker Ryan would like to try to get it done. And there are both proponents and opponents of this in both Democratic and Republican parties, and so it's going to be an interesting situation where we're going to have to stitch together the same kind of bipartisan effort in order for us to get it done.
One reason that we're not overly concerned with the substance of the lifting of the oil export ban is that the United States already exports 4.3 million barrels a day of refined petroleum product. And there were already written into the law a handful of waivers to the crude oil export ban that allowed companies in the United States to export 500,000 barrels of oil, of crude oil each day under those exceptions.
Well, the U.S. Congress has passed a legislation approving long-pending quota reform of the International Monetary Fund. This move gives more voting rights to emerging economies like India and China in the functioning of the organization. The IMF quota and governance reform would marginally reduce the voting share of traditional economic powerhouses like the U.S. The reform gives more voting rights to countries like India and China and is a much better reflective of the global economic scene that was struck for the past several years. Christine Lagarde, IMF Managing Director, welcomed the adoption of the legislation by the US Congress to authorize the 2010 quota and governance reforms. There's a look now at some of the other stories that are likely to make news during the course of the day today in the day ahead. Union Transport Minister Nitin Gadkari will inaugurate the 76th session of the Indian Road Congress today in Indore. Nearly 2,000 representatives from road construction companies will take part in the conference that will deliberate on, among other issues, environment-friendly techniques to be adopted for building motorways in the country. The annual conference of the Directors General and Inspectors General of Police, which began on Friday in the Rann of Kutch, will continue today. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be leading the police chiefs for a session of yoga and Surya Namaskar. The conference is an annual feature and is organized to discuss security situation and share intelligence inputs by top police brass of the country. Boxer Vijender Singh is expected to face a tough contest when he takes on experienced Bulgarian pugilist Samit Husaniov in his third professional bout at the Manchester Arena on Saturday. Vijender has enjoyed a superb start to his journey in the professional circuit, winning the first two bouts in comprehensive fashion. He defeated English boxer Sonny Whiting on his debut by technical knockout within 3 rounds. It's time for a short break now, but news and updates will continue on the other side. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
Tales that inspire, stories of social change. A salute to diversity, promoting public discourse. Events that motivate, inspiring the innovative spirit. Watch Rajya Sabha television documentaries every Friday at 10:30 p.m, Saturday 12:30 p.m, and Sunday at 1 p.m.
The Harappan period is also called the Bronze Age. Extensive collections from the era show the Indus artists were not only well versed in techniques of metallurgy, but also innovations in dance and performing arts. Best seen in the famous Mohenjo-daro relic, the Indus dancing girl. More impressive is the man drawing a bullock cart depicting agriculture activities. Bronze elephants, on the other hand, show domesticated animals used for transport.
Hello, I am Ishan Russell.
I'm Tracy Shilchi and you're watching News Tonight.
Together with the team of our
dedicated professionals from across various fields.
This is Shyam Sundar,
Vishal Dahiya,
Akhilesh Suman,
Frank Pereira from Beijing, China.
Kriti Mishra for Rajya Sabha Television.
We bring to you
the news that matters here on Rajya Sabha TV.
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha Television. Well, BJP President Amit Shah on Friday summoned party MP Kirti Azad in the wake of his criticism of Finance Minister Arun Jaitley in the alleged irregularities in DDCA. Though there was no official comment on what transpired in the meeting, party sources said Shah advised Azad to exercise restraint, noting that opposition parties have used these charges to attack the BJP. Shah's summoning of Azad came a day after BJP General Secretary Ram Lal called him over the same issue. BJP is understood to have told Azad that these are old charges dating back to 2013 when Jaitley headed the DDCA and Congress was in power at the centre as well as in Delhi, but nothing came out of them. Meanwhile, Azad, who remained tight-lipped after the meeting, said he will stick to his decision of holding a press conference on the issue on Sunday. Well, former Defence Secretary R.K. Mathur has been appointed as the new Chief Information Commissioner. Mathur will have a tenure of about 3 years. He is a retired IAS officer of the Tripura cadre. Mathur was made the Defence Secretary for a fixed 2-year term on May 28, 2013. Prime Minister Narendra Modi led selection panel comprising leader of the Congress in the Lok Sabha Mallikarjuna Kharge and Finance Minister Arun Jaitley had a meeting in this regard 2 days back and cleared Mathur's name for the post. The post had fallen vacant after Vijay Sharma completed his tenure on December 1st. The Central Information Commission had been headless twice since the BJP government came into power in 2014. Earlier, it was without a chief for nearly 10 months after completion of the tenure of the then CIC Rajiv Mathur in August 2014. Well, the Delhi High Court refused to extend the jail term for the juvenile convicted in the December 16, 2012 Delhi gang rape case. The court said that he could be released on or before December 20th. Amid public protests, parents of the victim demanded that the juvenile should get a stricter punishment. Here's more.
The youngest of the 6 convicts in the brutal Delhi gang rape incident is all set to walk free on Sunday. The Delhi High Court refused to intervene, saying he cannot be kept in custody under existing legal provisions. The 20-year-old convict has completed his 3-year jail term.
उसको रिलीज तो करना ही पड़ेगा, मगर जो उसको रिहैबिलिटेशन की प्रोग्राम जो है और जो भी है प्रावधान उसकी देखभाल के लिए और उसको ठीक से उसकी परवरिश हो वो सरकार करे, इसके ऊपर कोर्ट ने कहा है.
On post-release rehabilitation, the court directed the Juvenile Justice Board of Delhi to interact with the boy, his parents and the Delhi government's Women and Child Development Department officials. Meanwhile, parents of the victims said that they will abide by the court's decision.
हम कोर्ट से बड़े तो हैं नहीं, तो कोर्ट ने जो किया सोच समझ के किया होगा, आगे जैसा होगा देखेंगे. तकलीफ तो है, लेकिन क्या करें, हम भी मजबूर हैं.
The bench also said BJP leader Subramanian Swamy's petition seeking a stay on the convict's release cannot be allowed as the existing law was coming in its way. The order triggered a huge public outcry.
Juvenile offenders who have been condemned, who have been declared as being the co-accused, unfortunately they got the benefit of the law. Such people should not be, such offenders should not be allowed to be mixed up in the society.
The juvenile was under 18 when he was arrested for the crime. The 23-year-old paramedical student was sexually assaulted on the night of December 16th, 3 years ago. She died 13 agonizing days later in Singapore. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, various political parties have reacted to the Delhi High Court's remarks that the juvenile's release can't be prevented under the existing legal provisions. Let's listen to what they have to say.
And he goes back to his area, I think it's Badani, and hopefully he is rehabilitated. And we can only hope that he will never repeat this terrible crime again. I am sure that the Home Ministry will inform the local policemen. And I'm sure that they will keep him under watch, but it will be an informal watch until the law is stabilized on that.
We are willing to cooperate, but the government has created such a situation inside and outside Parliament that it has resulted in this kind of a log jam where the Parliament is simply not able to function. It has to be discussed. Parties, members, they have their views. It can be discussed and it should be discussed considering the prevailing situation in the country.
We made many years ago. People didn't grow up so quickly. And I think the government is actively engaged, to bringing down this age. The juvenile homes that we have are not working very efficiently.
Well, the High Court has gone strictly by the letter of the law. That's the law. But the point is, it's also looked for some executive action. I think we should still go back to the Supreme Court. The parents or Dr. Subramanian Swamy, whoever, or another person, saying that we need the Supreme Court to fill in a vacuum. What do we do in such a case where the person himself is under a threat or he is a threat?
There's a look now at what else is happening across the country and nationwide. Delhi government has fixed an upper age limit for admissions to entry-level classes, preschool, pre-primary and class 1. The age limit has been set at 4 years, which is to be followed by private unaided schools. The upper age limit for differently abled children has been decided as 5 years, 6 years and 7 years respectively. hoping to strengthen the odd-even vehicle rule to be imposed with effect from January 1st in the capital. The Delhi government has formed a 4-member committee to finalize a penalty to violators. Delhi Transport Minister Gopal Rai said the committee will submit its report soon, after which the government will take a final decision. Leaves of all DTC staff also stand cancelled during the trial period to enable optimum bus services. Taking a step towards cleaner planet, Uttar Pradesh has imposed a ban on recycling, manufacturing, import, sale and storage of all kinds of plastic bags across the state. The ban follows Allahabad High Court's directive last month to make the state environment friendly. The administration is yet to specify the timeline as to when the ban will come into force. Moving on now, the UN Security Council on Friday unanimously adopted a resolution outlining a peace process for Syria. The agreement was a rare show of international unity over a conflict that has claimed more than 250,000 lives. However, disagreements remain over the future of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad.
Will those in favor of the draft resolution contained in document S/2015/996 please raise their hand?
The vote came shortly after representatives of the 5 UN Security Council permanent members agreed on a draft text calling for peace talks between representatives of the Syrian government and opposition groups to start in January. Elections must be held within 18 months, which is the deadline set for putting into place a new constitution.
Nearly 2 years have passed since the Geneva II conference. The people of Syria have suffered enough. I call for you to show vision and leadership in overcoming your differences.
The resolution came after Russia and the United States clinched a deal on a text. The two powers have had very different views on what should happen in Syria, where Islamic State militants control considerable territory that Western governments suspect has been a launchpad for attacks on Western nations and Russia.
Under the resolution approved today, the purpose of those negotiations between the responsible opposition and the government is to facilitate a transition within Syria to a credible, inclusive, non-sectarian governance within 6 months. The process would lead to the drafting of a new constitution and arrangements for internationally supervised election within 18 months.
В ней подчеркивается, что только ведомый самими сирийцами инклюзивный диалог – это ясный ответ на попытки навязать сирийцам извне решение каких-либо вопросов, включая вопрос о судьбе их президента.
Addressing the Security Council shortly after the vote, US Secretary of State John Kerry acknowledged the persistent sharp differences on Assad's fate within the Council. But a political process was critical to attempting to bring about an end to the civil war.
President Assad has lost the ability, the credibility, to be able to unite the country and to provide the moral credibility to be able to govern it into the future.
The resolution asks UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon to report back within 1 month on options for a ceasefire monitoring, verification and reporting mechanism. However, members of the Syrian opposition have said that this deadline is too soon.
هناك يعني كثير من المسائل اللي أكدت عليها الهيئة العليا وما أكد عليها أيضا مؤتمر رياض، وخاصة قبل البدء بالتفاوض هي الإجراءات بناء الثقة وإجراءات حسن النية من قبل الطرف الآخر، ولو أنه نحن نشعر إلى الآن لا يوجد هناك طرف آخر أو شريك في موضوع إيجاد تسوية سياسية في سوريا.
Secretary General Ban Ki-moon also urged the members of the International Syria Support Group to put pressure on Syrian parties to stop using weapons against civilians, allow access for aid convoys, stop attacks on hospitals and schools, and release detainees. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Here's a roundup of the other international news in our World Wrap. The US House of Representatives has passed a bill to fund the federal government in the process, making the H-1B and L-1 visas substantially expensive. It doubles the application fee for every new hire to $4,000. It will be charged for extensions too. These changes will apply to US companies with more than 50 employees, 50% of whom are foreigners, mostly affecting US operations of Indian companies such as TCS, Infosys and Wipro. These changes will be in force for the next 10 years. The recently agreed truce in Yemen is in jeopardy, with Yemeni troops loyal to President Abd Rabu Mansour Hadi gaining control of an important northwestern city on Friday. The UN scurried to salvage the increasingly fragile ceasefire as peace talks continue in Switzerland between the exiled Yemeni government and Iran-backed Houthi rebels. Brazil's President Dilma Rousseff has replaced her finance minister as Latin America's largest economy struggles to recover from recession. Finance Minister Joaquim Levy will be substituted by Planning Minister Nelson Barbosa after a series of disagreements over economic policies. Moving on to some sports news now, here's a roundup of all the sports stories. The Indian squad for the upcoming Australian tour will be picked in Delhi today. All-rounder Ravindra Jadeja is likely to make a comeback in the Indian squad when national selectors meet to pick the team for the upcoming limited overs series in Australia. 3 other players who could be under the spotlight are pacer Mohammad Shami, Ishant Sharma and veteran batsman Murli Vijay. Vijay could replace an out-of-form Shikhar Dhawan as the opener. The tour will include 5 ODIs and 3 T20 internationals. The matches will be played between January 12th and 31st. Indian men claimed the team championship, beating England 3-1 in the finals, while the women's squad settled with the silver medal after losing to Singapore 1-3 in the Awad 20th Commonwealth Table Tennis Championship in Surat. The Indian men's team last won the title in 2004 in Kuala Lumpur, with Sharat Kamal, Soumyadeep Roy and Subhajit Saha forming the core of the team. India dropped a place to the 7th position in the latest International Hockey Federation for men. Last month, the team jumped 2 places to occupy the 6th spot in the FIH rankings on the back of its good showing in the Hockey World League semi-finals. World champions Australia continue to occupy the top spot ahead of 2nd place Netherlands and Germany. That's it on this edition of the Bulletin. Have a good day.